17 years ago, a former employer of mine called me and asked if I would want to come and work for his new company. Very thankful that he thought of me, I asked, well, what is it that your company does and what do you do? Not having a medical background and with only my personality to work with, this is what he explained and this is what I understood. That is a bit of humor on day 3 of a summit here at HitLab, but in reality, that was the truth. I had not heard nor understood the importance of why do we or anyone needed to know about such a thing, and why was it even a thing? 17 years later, here I am speaking with health experts and innovators and on this thing. Patients don't adhere to trial protocols. So why do we care if patients are non-adherent? This thing creates fraught data, and this is the same data that we subject to, say, machine learning. For example, say you're using machine learning to identify an electrical pattern that presages decompensation in a patient with an arrhythmia. The patient is probably on meds. If your physiological sensor indicates decompensation is occurring, how do you know if it is due to missed medication, a drug interaction, or an underlying conduction defect? All digital health platforms need an input for adherence monitoring to rule out medication non-adherence as contributing to the problem being investigated. A signal-to-noise ratio. Any situation in which a treatment is prescribed for a patient may be viewed as an exercising and optimizing a signal-to-noise ratio. The importance of maximizing the signal-to-noise is obvious in the area of clinical trials, which has been our space for these past 20 years. Clinical trials are designed to determine if the therapeutic effect, the S, of an investigational new drug stands out from all the obscuring influences, which is the noise. The signal is desired clinical effect, the noise, everything else that obscures that signal. In all cases, error due to poor adherence leads to underestimation of the study's drug effectiveness. The reason this is critical is that erroneous results will affect all of those patients who ultimately are prescribed medication. As digital health innovators, this is our biggest area of opportunity to make an impact in research and helping to improve patient health outcomes. This is an enormous piece of the pie and lots of room for improvement and return on investment. A modest 1% increase in adherence allows a 2% reduction in the sample size derived by traditional power calculations, and adherence improvement of 5 to 15% is quite feasible. Therefore, trials will require smaller samples to demonstrate real treatment effects, speeding up regulatory evaluation, and at $42,000 per patient as approximate cost alone, this should spark some excitement. Trials also rely on subjective data. Approximately 75% of trials still rely on paper collection as their primary tool. The absence of a real-time view into patient adherence combined with antiquated collection methods greatly reduces our understanding of patient behavior and weakens the accuracy of our trial assessments, creating outcome and risk to the patient, the sponsor, and those supporting the trial. Weakens the accuracy of our trial assessments, creating a risk to the patient. How are digital interventions modernizing today's trial designs? Our hint, they provide real-time objective data. Going back 20 years ago, the WHO, World Health Organization, stated increasing the effectiveness of compliance interventions may have far greater impact on the health of the population than any improvement in specific medical treatments. Here we see real-world data of an ideal patient. So what can digital compliance interventions today do with this data? We know most randomized controlled trials already use coaching, but it is largely unstructured. Coaching, motivational interviewing draws on principles of cognitive behavior therapy to identify and develop ways to change undesirable behavior. In our case, it's non-adherence to prescribed medication. The coaching is not typically guided by problem identification, so all patients get essentially the same broad stroke message. Take your medicine as prescribed, attend a follow-up appointment, fill out your diary, and call me if you have a problem. Of course, some do and some don't, but those who need to benefit from it don't view the message as relevant. Behavior modification requires identifying and targeting the problem behavior for change. We see with this patient poor adherence and inconsistent dosing. These are real-time digital timestamps. Although the patient appears to have attempted to take doses twice daily, the digital timestamps show we have a loss of 1 dose per day. Some are excessive 3 or 4 doses. We see there's a variability in the AM dosing time. We see there's extreme variability in the evening time. This low level of adherence has several implications. It will affect drug levels and response to treatment. It will contribute to erroneous trial results. The patient may be extra dosing. Erratic dosing predisposes to side effects, risk patient safety, and perhaps loss to follow-up. Non-adherence in our digital world impacts more than medication. Wearable devices provide continuous access to real-time data such as heart rate, blood glucose, sleep time, and as much more valuable data. But low adherence how adherent are patients to using and actively using these? Wearable technology advancing healthcare through enhanced patient adherence to monitoring devices. A recent article from mid-November, actually a few weeks ago, published in Forbes spoke of this. One very important point they mentioned is this: patient adherence is critical to unlocking medical wearables' full potential. Without high adherence levels, devices can't maximize remote patient monitoring and clinical trials. Digital adherence data are used to coach trial patients to be more compliant as they progress through a trial, effectively reducing noise and increasing the signal-to-noise. Let's start the foundation and use objective data to ensure measurements from other digital sources are reliable, accurate, and robust. As per Dr. Brad Carlin from Johns Hopkins yesterday actually stated in that area of patient behavior, patients that don't behave or follow the best practices may as much as 3 to 6 times cost to treat than those that don't behave. These next few slides are real-world data that will help us move the needle forward in strengthening clinical research decision-making and keeping patients safe. Pray, Mr. Babbage, if you put into the machine wrong figures, will the right answers come out? English mathematician and inventor Charles Babbage is credited with having conceived the first automatic digital computer, and those are his words. CFR, GDPR, HIPAA, etc. requirements will simply ensure that the data are preserved in their less than perfect embodiment throughout the trial. These are real-world studies. This study is a combination of 2 digital technologies, smart packaging and a mobile app to promote behavior modification. The title is Feasibility and Acceptability of a Mobile Application to Monitor Opioid Use and Promote Behavior Modification Following Cesarean Section. As we see more, we are seeing more and more of this collaborative approach, working with the siloed and interoperable solutions. As we see more and more remote monitoring technology solutions, more of these results will be available to help strengthen the direct-to-patient and decentralized trial hybrid designs in clinical research. Some of the findings of this opioid study were on review of pill pack data. 3 participants were flagged for aberrant behavior. The wide variation in opioid consumption across participants revealed the potential use of the mobile app to provide actionable insights to clinicians. This leaves 67 unused tablets that are available for potential diversion into the community, our community, and your community. Simplify study, a hepatitis study here. I'm not a physician, so the word savomsphere, I'm not going to read that, but I will get the important part from the principal investigator. This, again, is real-world evidence, and they continue to use technology today. I must say that the adherence technology that was so incredibly important for demonstrating the forgiveness of the HCV regimens for people who inject drugs. The paper has been so well cited and has made such major contributions to informing global recommendations and guidelines. The papers have been cited in the American Association for the Study of Liver Diseases and European Association for the Study of the Liver International Guidelines for HCV Management. Another study, PREVAIL study, low adherence achieves high HCV cure rates among people who inject drugs treated with direct-acting antiviral agents. Our study provides the first real-world data with sufficient adherence variability to define HCV adherence thresholds. We demonstrate that lower medication adherence may still lead to HCV cure in the era of the DAAs. If payers and providers refuse people who inject drugs highly effective DAA medications due to adherence concerns, elimination of HCV will not be possible. These data support HCV treatment for all people who inject drugs. Endometriosis, a new treatment for a condition that can feel like tiny people skating on razor blades in your stomach and affects an estimated 200 million women, just got approved. Orilissa, elagolix tablets. As the world's first submission to have used digital adherence data that resulted with the FDA approving under priority review, our team is most honored to be part of. AbbVie used digital technology to track adherence in 13 trials to evaluate its medication for the management of endometriosis-associated pain. The FDA approved Orilissa elagolix in July of 2018. 2012, a father approached me from the US. I was in Canada at the time, and he wanted to know what he could do for his son who had a mental illness, and he wanted to help him use some sort of tool to monitor his adherence. This was his hope. He said, and we hope someday his son could hold a job. March 2013 have made a remarkable difference in my son's compliance with his medication regimen. December 2014 have been a terrific success in helping my son manage his medication. The best use of adherence data is to coach the patient, whether that is our loved one or a patient in a clinical trial, to be more adherent. Adherence data are used to target problematic adherence and initiate behavior modification, just as his family had done. 2017, they stopped using the smart caps. He now readily admits that his meds are necessary to maintain his independent lifestyle, and we would never have reached that conclusion without using the smart caps to keep him adherent. That was from his dad. The best use of adherence data is to coach the patient to be more adherent. Adherence data, digital timestamps are used to target problematic adherence and initiate behavior modification. He is now an ideal patient in the year of 2023. Digital interventions are modernizing today's trial designs. We prove they work. Is it negligent not to use them? Thank you.